Today, we're going to have a journalist
Mm.
give us an expose of her experience of having just gone through the entire Transform program. What were some of your health struggles and autoimmune issues that you struggled with?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Mm,
The list is long,
yeah.
but my life started to kind of fall apart and crumble, I thought, in about 2020. But really now I look back and it was happening for much, much longer before
Yeah.
that. But I started to get very sick in 2020 where I was extremely fatigued, talking about like no energy at all.
Yeah.
I lost the ability to swallow, even sometimes my own saliva.
Yep.
Um, it was very scary. I had widespread joint pain. I felt like I had a fever all the time, even though I did not. Hair loss, digestive issues that were terrible, menstrual irregularities. It was like the list goes on and on. I cannot even remember all of the things that I had to go through and all of the testing that I had to go through. It makes me want to cry. It really makes me want to cry thinking about how sick I was and how sick I felt and wondering, was this going to be the rest of my life?
You don't realize how many people this just resonated with.
Yeah.
How many people out there had even just one of these symptoms? Because the thing is, and the symptoms you listed are the most commonly dismissed by doctors.
Oh yeah, and I did have one doctor tell me I was a hysterical woman, and it was all in my head.
I'm sorry, or girl, whoever. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like that's ridiculous. But that is the most common response people with autoimmunity get from their doctors when their blood tests come out normal is to say, "Oh, you need an antidepressant or you need some therapy or you're hysterical, you're a hypochondriac."
Yeah.
But you at some point did get some positive testing.
Yes. It was shortly after I had that conversation with that doctor that finally, because my tests had been negative for a long time, and I just
Right,
kept going back to the doctor saying something's wrong, something's wrong.
right.
Until finally they did turn positive, and the ANA lit up positive. Finally, I had antibodies pop positive for that were for a disease called scleroderma. That
Yeah.
then the anxiety starts swirling even more because you start reading online that the prognosis for that sometimes can be poor.
Yeah, you say it, and I could hear the fear in your voice even around that word. And, when you look at scleroderma, it's in one of the family of what we call mixed connective tissue disorders, and people call it rare, and it's not rare. It's not rare at all. And the thing is like, if you're lucky enough to qualify for a diagnosis, I guess, but like, how many people out there have tons of different types of targets of autoimmune targets in their connective tissue? And that could be your esophagus, it could be your lungs, it could be your skin, it could be your bowels, it could be your nails.
Oh, yeah.
People
I had nail problems too.
I
Forgot to mention
know,
that. Yeah.
and the
Oh,
thing is
and Raynaud's, forgot to mention that too.
another autoimmune attack against connective tissue of arteries, and
Right.
yet, like, most I guess you were lucky enough to get a name to it as an undifferentiated mixed connective tissue disorder,
Right,
right?
yeah, because they told me I did not have enough, qualifying factors yet to meet the scleroderma diagnosis, but that I was labeled undifferentiated connective tissue disease, and we'll just watch and see what happens. We'll see if you get sicker.
In my experience, 90% or more people with autoimmune disease never get a diagnosis because the blood test hasn't caught up with there are thousands of targets of in your connective tissue to be under attack. You've seen me say 1,000 times, the diagnosis doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't give a rat's ass what your diagnosis is. And you'll never hear another doctor say that because all the money, all their time is spent trying to diagnose you. And
Yes.
I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I just want to end this shit.
Yeah. No, that
Right?
was an obstacle for me, but when I finally heard you talk about how diagnosis doesn't matter, it really did resonate with me in a
Yeah.
huge way because I was just getting ready to travel out of state for the second time to go
Mm,
visit yet another doctor to try to get a definitive diagnosis.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and, like, literally the next 2 weeks, I was supposed to go, and I ended up canceling that appointment after consultation with my own doctor and saying, "I think I'm gonna cancel this appointment that you had wanted me to go to because I think I'm gonna try something different." I am working with a doctor who tells me the diagnosis doesn't matter, and we can attack this regardless of what the diagnosis is, and that was a mindset shift for me as well because
Okay.
for so long you're chasing that diagnosis. You say, well, what's wrong with me? I have to have a name for it so I can have a game plan. And that's not really the right approach. I know now. It's
So
interesting. This person says you want answers, and I agree, you do want answers. But what I learned in the program is
yeah,
I got answers.
yeah.
I didn't, it's not about what's your diagnosis as the answer. It's about, okay, what's malfunctioning maybe in your body, or what does your body need that it's not getting? We're going to get those answers so that we can address it and you can feel better.
Here's the thing, when you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answer. When you ask the wrong question, you'll get the wrong answers. If your question and your doctor's question, the primary question is what's the diagnosis? That's the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is, how can I end what's feeding these symptoms? I don't care what is the cause of it, like what is the actual name to this? The real question is, how can I end this? So, Anne, I would love for you to share what were your results? What were your outcomes?
Yeah.
That's what people care about. They want to know. It's 2 months. You've been working with that. I've been at this for 20 years and you worked in this program for 2 months. What are some of your actual medical results?
Well, yeah. And I think when you talk about results, we also have to talk about what did I learn? What did I find out about myself?
Mhm,
So, one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle, and really the whole reason that I found you in the first place,
mhm,
was I wanted to figure out what was going on with my hormones.
mhm.
I knew there was a strong hormonal connection to what was fueling my autoimmunity, or it impacted it in some way, but no doctor could figure it out. And I spent years and many doctors trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, in this very short period of time, as soon as I got my hormone testing result back, you were able to, clear as day, tell me that I had what you call hidden PCOS,
Yeah.
polycystic ovary syndrome.
Yeah.
And it was surprising, and it wasn't. It was something I had wondered if I'd had for a long time, but several doctors had told me that no, I couldn't have that because of this factor or that. Meanwhile, I have a lot of the symptoms for it.
You have a lot of the outcomes, poor outcomes as a result of it. Not even just symptoms, but poor outcomes of it.
Very poor outcomes,
Mhm,
extremely poor outcomes.
mhm.
Infertility tops the list for me, which is
Yeah.
something I struggled with, if anybody's followed my story, for many years, in a very heartbreaking and soul crushing
Yep.
journey to try to create a family with my husband. Now I know that this is something I've been dealing with my entire life. Um, and it makes a lot of sense when I look back throughout my life. Yes, they put me on birth control pills way back when I was 15 years old because of an irregular cycle.
Yeah.
No one ever stopped to say to me, "Hey, why do you have an irregular cycle?"
Well, and I think about the money that and time and emotional pain that people put into dealing with infertility as if it's just some problem that people can just throw hormones and money at. And for me, like helping people get pregnant is not difficult at all when you understand what's causing the problem, right? So I love the fact that I'm the pregnancy whisperer. It's easy to become the pregnancy whisperer when you teach people how to read and understand their hormones, and also fix
Yeah.
those patterns, right? So yeah.
And let
So
me tell you a biggest result from that. Would you
okay,
like to hear?
what's the result?
I mentioned irregular menstrual cycles from the time I was 15 or before.
Yeah.
I have a regular menstrual cycle now. I mean,
Well, hell yes.
for the third month in a row since being a part of this program, I'm regular. It's mind blowing to me. This is
This is
something
2 months, lady.
I know. Oh, it happened to me in the first month. The first month of working with you. Bam, regular.
Okay.
So yeah,
So regular periods.
even before we delved deeply into my hormones, all of the work that we were doing in the program was already working to rebalance me.
So hormones, big result number 1. Any other results?
Oh yeah. Um, well, let's talk about two other things I found out. I had found out I was low in all of my vitamins,
Oh, yeah.
all of them. Low in vitamin D,
Yeah.
low in iron,
Yeah.
which once I worked on increasing my iron, my hair loss stopped. Um, my hair stopped falling out once I addressed my iron.
Yep.
I mean, and I had been wondering for a long time, what's going on. And in fact, I worked with another doctor who wondered, maybe it is iron, but didn't know the exact levels of where iron should be, where ferritin should
Functional
be.
values, functional
Yes.
values.
And so we were stopping short. We were
Yeah,
stopping short of where
all
I
the
needed.
time, I see that. Well, and then the other thing too is if you never figure out what's causing the low iron, you're never gonna get the iron to go up or stay up.
Nobody even really talked to me that much. I'm a vegan and my doctors know that. And they were never really talking to me
You have an
about
input
I have an
problem.
input problem here. Yeah. And
Mhm.
probably I have an input problem, I have an output problem, and I have an
Feeling,
absorption problem. I
eating,
had it all. I had it all. My iron was deep, deep, deep down in the toilet because of this. And
so that's the thing is that if you don't realize that it's an input problem or it's an output problem or it's an absorption problem, you can't fix it for life. And I'm interested in teaching people to how to troubleshoot it so they know which cause it is, and they can just fix it for life.
mhm.
So that's the only way you're going to get iron to really consistently even go up or stay up, so that you're not just dependent on supplementation for the rest of your life. Oh yeah, I'm better, but I have to take 10 pills of iron every day. Screw that. Let's just fix the problem that's causing in the first place, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So, number one, hormones. Number two, all the vitamins were deficient, specifically iron, and now hair is growing back.
Oh,
Boom. This is just in 2 months. Your hair is starting to get fuller again.
I know. If we're talking about results, something I would be extremely remiss if I did not mention was digestion. I
Okay.
mentioned digestion was one of the problems I was suffering with pretty badly, to the
Yeah.
point where, we mentioned I was talking about poop, but I would see all of these very expensive supplements I was taking
Yeah.
come
It was
back
a
up.
lot. It was
Yeah.
a lot.
And so I wasn't digesting them. I would literally see them come out undigested. And that was so upsetting for so many reasons. Chiefly among them, I wasn't getting what I knew my body needed then.
Yeah.
How am I ever going to start to feel better if I'm not even digesting what I
Yeah.
need?
You're not. You weren't. And you already learned in the program, 100%, 100% of everybody in the program had digestion problems. That was the underlying root cause of their autoimmune issues, their hormone imbalance, their pain. I mean, people just have no clue how big of a holy grail that really is.
Right.
So not only you mentioned better elimination, but were there any other digestive changes that you noticed from a symptom standpoint?
Yeah, bloating decreased as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Well, don't ignore these symptoms. I mean, it could be heartburn, it could be bloating, it could be feeling like you eat meat but can't digest it. It can be diarrhea, it can be gas, it can be floaty stools. I mean, these are all signs and symptoms. And most importantly, poor digestion contributes to what? Malabsorption of all these key vitamins that's causing you to lose hair, that's causing your mast cell or histamine intolerances to go crazy. These poor digestion is the number one cause of mast cell activation, histamine intolerance. And then also poor digestion causes you to malabsorb. So then people with POTS, dysautonomia, aren't absorbing the critical nutrients and electrolytes that they even need. So digestion is king,
Yeah.
king. And yet people have tried everything, right?
Right, right.
No.
You mentioned POTS too, and it's like I didn't even mention this, but I had a lot of the symptoms for POTS as well prior to the
Mhm,
program,
mhm.
with lightheadedness upon
Yeah.
standing up, and my heart rate was strange, and anxiety involved with a lot of it, and
I see with every single person with autoimmunity.
yep, yeah, and that has all gotten much better as well. I was funny, like, I jumped up from the couch the other night, and sometimes if I would have jumped up really quickly, I would have almost hit the floor, and my husband even commented, he was like, "Hey, you're not about to pass out." Like, "What? This is progress. You must be feeling better." It's things like that that you just get so used to too in
Mhm.
your daily life of, "Okay, I'm just gonna compensate, this
Yeah,
is what life feels like, I'm gonna deal with it. I'm gonna
yeah,
stand up and then hold the wall for 5 seconds until,
yeah,
the stars go away."
yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing the stars anymore.
Well, I can't wait because these are just some of the immediate results, right? With hormones, with the vitamin deficiencies, with the better digestion, elimination, hair, all this, right? These are just 2 months. But that's just, I mean, I call people this is the first 1% of results that people get because there are so many other symptoms that you mentioned that it will get better, but it takes time to get better and better. Everybody, if you want to learn more about the Transform program, go ahead and there's a link above this video to chat with our team. We'll also put a link in chat for you to chat us, book a call with our team, just chat with us, or also tell us what's going on with you, and we'll get some trainings to you your way so you can learn more to kick autoimmune in the ass, everybody.